Welcome back to the Agriland Pavilion here at the National Ploughing Championships in Ratheniska in County Laois. We're back in the stand, Agriland stand 305 if you want to pop in. It's quite breezy, but the rain has stopped thankfully, so pop in here. We've plenty of space and dry weather, and you can charge your phone as well. But I'm going to go now to our live panel at the moment, which is Alice Doyle and Pat Murphy. Both are going for election for Deputy President role of the IFA. So Alice, I'll go to you. I'll ask you both the same question. Firstly, Alice, why do you want to be the Deputy President of the IFA?
Well, look, I'm delighted to be in the position that I can run in the first place,
yes.
And I'd love to do the role for the simple reason I think I bring a skill set to this role that nobody else has, because I have a wide range of experience behind me. I would like to be Deputy President because I think I can make a difference. I come from a background where I've worked on farm, I've worked off farm, I represent the full farm family setup, and I think I can represent people very well on that. And I have a wide knowledge of all that, but I also come with a set skill of being able to negotiate, to advocate, because it came from my teaching over the years, and I can use that. As well as I said, I spent 2 years as farm family chair, and in that I have learned a huge amount about the needs that are on the family farm and what's facing the family farm. And I think I could do a very good job there. And I can bring a balance as well. And I'm not playing the female role on this one, but I think, a female balance on National Council and on National Officer Committee would be very good for the organisation as well.
But Alice, you've mentioned the skills that you would have there as a Deputy President, but you have a beef farm, you have a family, you're already farm family chair. Are you not busy enough?
Well, I'm very busy, yeah. But all women can multitask and we're good at it. And I'd like to think that any role I've ever played in, I've given it my best. And I think that each of those roles are complementary. They each supplement and complement each other. So I think I could carry all of those. If my farm skills, my knowledge of the farm, my working on the farm while I was also working off farm gives me a lot of knowledge from a farming point of view. I have my off farm skills, which are also very important. My family are grown up at this stage, so they're looked after and they're very supportive of me in this, which I think is a great help. Instead of me having to mind them, they're minding me. And as far as being chair of the farm family, that has given me huge insight into the working of the farm family and of all the different things I need to know there. So I think I've worked very hard in farm family for the last 2 years, and I don't think Deputy President could be much harder than that, because I've had to put so much time into that every day. I give that hours every day, and I think I've brought the profile of that committee up because I have put that time and energy into it, and I've been able to put that time and energy, and because I have a good support at home, I can make that time at this stage.
Pat Murphy, I'm interested to know also why you want to be Deputy President of the IFA.
I'd like to continue to represent farm families. I'm a family man myself, married to Anna. We have 3 kids, all in college at the minute. So I have a huge idea of the challenges that families are facing. And we're facing challenges on a daily basis, on income, on life throws challenges at us on a continuous basis. When you look at what farmers are going through at the minute, we have the derogation issue. There's a huge fear out there with families. The weather is a huge impact on families this year. Everyone that's come up to us at the Ploughing this year has said how bad the weather, how it just has got them down. And when you bring that and you bring all that together, when we see nearly every sector is on the floor, income in families is on the floor. They're looking for, we say, leadership in their farm organisations to give them a little bit of optimism. So that's what I bring. I have 20 years experience representing families within the IFA, and I'd like to continue to do that. When you look at the derogation, as I mentioned a minute ago, people are saying, are we going to be able to keep the 220? The 250 is dropping down the 250 to the 220 has been a huge hit to me and my family that's in me. So if we don't put up a fight, if people like me who is in derogation aren't able to fight for them, that's where the leadership, and that's where they look for people like me to represent them, and that's what I bring to it. It's the same in all aspects of life. We go to the nitrates or the emission targets. Again, being a derogation farmer, we have been, a huge ask has been given to us over and above, we'll say, people that are not in derogation. We've accepted that challenge. We have, you're basically accepting that you're going to be inspected on a yearly basis. You're being asked to do the low emission slurry, grassland reseeding. All that we now see is nearly taken as for granted or put in there. We've done that. It has worked. We've proven on our farms that it has worked. But yet, the government are saying, oh no, forget about it. Water quality isn't improving. But yet we've the best water quality in Europe. We've better water quality from a lot of countries that have the 170 already, that don't have a derogation. So we're already there. And that's why people want leaders to fight for them. I'm there already, and that's why I want the job to continue to fight.
And Pat, you're aware, I suppose, of the challenges facing the dairy sector at the moment, being a dairy farmer yourself. But the Deputy President role, like what about tillage, what about sheep? You know, are you as acutely aware of the issues affecting those sectors?
Yes, I'm a suckler farmer as well as a dairy farmer. I'm also growing some tillage, and I was 21 years growing potatoes, which I had to get out of because customers' attitude had changed, and quotas at the time lifted. So we took a management decision that the help just wasn't there. Family was younger. I was after losing my dad as well, who was always with me for the 21 years that I was growing potatoes. So it was sadness that I exited that, and I still have a fondness for it. But I still have coming from the west of Ireland, you have a huge handle on what people are facing. All my neighbours are dry stock farmers. They are the backbone, whether it's sheep and sucklers or rearing stores and even killing cattle. They're the backbone of the west of Ireland. They're my neighbours, because where I come from in Ardrahan, there's pockets of dairy farmers. It's not big dairy farmer country. Go back to where I have the sucklers in the Burden. That's all suckler areas. And if you take sucklers out of that area, you're basically you're returning that landscape to where it was a number of years ago, when the department actually said, and Europe actually said, hold on a minute, we're destroying the flora and fauna of the Burden area. And it proves that working with farmers works. So, like, even in our area, sheep, the store lamb trade is on the ground at the minute. We haven't been given any help. IFA have been looking for €30 for the sheep suckler, or the sheep payment for the last 4 years. We've got €2. In that time, we've got €2 from this present government. We've been promised in the programme for government that we would get a REP scheme similar to what we had originally. We got acres. It's heavily subscribed, but it's not near the scheme that we were promised, that was there in the past, that did so much good for the environment. This acre scheme, farmers are benefiting very little out of it. They are in it. They have no choice but to try and be in it. But there are so many other people hanging off them and doing well off them because trying to be part of the scheme. And the cost of getting into the scheme and abiding by them, we need to reduce those areas.
Alice, I want to come back to you and your experience with farm families and how that would, you've mentioned a little bit there of the experience that you've garnered through that. How would that practically translate in terms of representing farmers nationally as Deputy President? Yeah. How would farm families is a very important element of agriculture. It's more, I suppose, the associated part of being a farmer is the farm family and what that entails. So how would that represent farmers better?
Well, I think looking back on my time with the Farm Family Group, I have represented every group in farming in that, because of the 29 members on my committee, they represent 29 regions, and they bring everything from that. I have every type of farming family represented. That doesn't matter what category it is, what commodity it is. I have them all there, plus all the extras. And I have worked very hard with my committee, and I've showed great leadership in that committee. And I think that's what the Deputy President's role is about. It's about leadership. And I think my committee would very much vouch to the fact that I have shown huge leadership in that. I've taken that committee from being a very quiet committee in the organisation to being one of the forefront committees within 2 years. And I think my committee showed that I have that leadership to bring people with me, that I can identify issues with them, but I identify them with them. I just don't pick them for myself. I identify the issues with the committee, we discuss it, we deal with it, and we go and we negotiate for whatever we need to do. We advocate for that, but we plan. And one of the things that I think that I can bring to this, which I've gained from my committee and from my years of experience, is that I can set goals along with my fellow officers. I won't be the only one, remember. If I was elected, even when I am elected, I would be the Deputy President. I would be answerable to the President and to the committee members and to the other commodity members, the commodity chairs, to the county chairs, the National Council. what my committee would vouch for is that I have always listened to the voices of the people coming forward. I take their skills on board. I take their attitudes, their point of view on board. I harness those as a chair. And we work on that then as a group, as a collective group. And I think as Deputy President, that's what's needed. We need to be bringing all those points of view together. Pat has listed all the different things that are out there. I'm acutely aware of all of those. And if we work on those, but we have to work as a united group on that. And I think communication is huge. I communicate very well in public. I communicate very well in privately with the groups. And I think I could communicate very well with the department and with any other bodies that we have to work with. And I've learned that through my years of experience. I've worked with all kinds of departments of education, health over the years, and I've learned how you deal with that. And I think I can bring that skill. And that has come through, it has been proven in a smaller scale on my Farm Family Committee, that I bring people with me. I listen, because communication is a two-way process. I listen very carefully. I communicate back, fluently, and then we take it to the fore and I sell it out there then. And I think that for IFA is what we have to do. We have to sell the good work that farmers are doing. We need to sell the good commodity that we have and sell it to the public, but we also need to be able to deal with the bodies that are regulating for us. And I think I have that skill, and I think I'd be well able. I'd be pretty forceful in doing it, but I'm good at setting goals. And most women, I think, are very good at following through. That's something we really have. When we set our minds to something, we follow through on it. And I think I can bring that. And most people who know me know that I don't give in easily. Yeah. If I have a point of view, I will listen, and I won't be domineering, but I will listen, and I will bring that with me. But if I think something is worthwhile, and I think a group of people think it's worthwhile, I will go with it.
Okay. Pat Murphy, when you're Deputy President of the IFA, obviously it's representing every farmer in the country. Now, we know that farming in Galway and Mayo is not like farming in Tipperary or Cork. Yep. It's very different. There's very different and specific sets of needs in different areas. So, you've been representing in Galway and in the region there for great number of years, and you're chatting to your colleagues there in IFA and everything, but what can you do in terms of the national farmers? Because they will be different. Hill farmers will have different needs to dairy farmers in the heart of the Golden Vale and so on.
First thing that you need to do with any farmer is to listen to what they're saying to you. No matter where they are, they have concerns that's unique to their regions. And it's one thing that I've always done in my time in IFA, is listen to the people and try and represent what they're asking of us. So by listening and trying to deliver and working for them, you can then deliver for them. There's a lot of challenges out there. And Alice is right in what she said. We're poor at selling ourselves. We're poor at selling ourselves as food producers. Whether it is, we feed 40 million people in the world, yet we have a government that wants us to cut back, that forces us to cut back, that's putting legislation in place. Other countries aren't doing that. America are putting incentives in place. Why can't we follow that? To reward people that are in a position maybe to scale back a bit, but to also reward the people that are actually providing the food that all of us here today eat. We have a very good product. We produce food that's sustainable, that's low food mileage, that is nutritious. We're the best in Europe at producing milk, one of the best in Europe at producing beef. We need to get out to our consumers and sell that story. We need to complement what Agri-Aware are doing, especially with young kids, to get into the schools, sell it to them, put a face to who's producing the food for you. And if that's the Deputy President of IFA to put their face up there and said, this is a food producer. They produce milk, they produce beef, they produce egg, they produce poultry, or pig and pork. That is the way that we can put a value back to our consumers, to the people that go into the shops on a weekly basis and think that food comes from a shelf or a storage unit. It comes from a farm. And that's what we need to do as an IFA. We need to keep pushing that. And that's how we can reward our hill farmers and our tillage farmers who, to be honest about it, have had a disastrous year across the country.
We're running out of time, but I do want to ask a question of both of you, because I want to think that IFA is not a cult and it's not above reproach or criticism if it needs to be, or to take on board things. So I'll ask you both the same question. Alice, what, in your opinion, has the IFA done wrong over the last few years, and what has it done right, briefly?
okay, we're 68 years old, so we must have done something right or we wouldn't be still here. And I think over the years we represented farmers very, very well. The last few years have been very difficult, and I think we're probably falling down greatly on communication. It's the biggest thing. We have a good product. As an organisation, we are needed, and it's only when we're without us we'll realise. If we're without us, we realise how much we are, how much value we are. And I think that's been our biggest problem, that we have lost communication with our members and we've lost communication with the public. And remember, it's the public now are dictating really what we are going to do. They are in the majority and they are watching what we're doing. They're not aware. They might be watching, but they're not aware of what we're doing, and they're not aware of what we have. And I think we need to get out there. We need to be able to get on the airways. We need to be able to communicate. We need to be able to speak very clearly about what we have to offer. So that's where I think we need to improve. We have done very good, as I said. We've done, over 68 years, can't all have been wrong. But we need change too. Look, at any organisation that's worth its salt must evolve. If you try to do the same thing over and over again and expect to get a different result, that's a recipe for disaster. And I think we're moving there. And I think if IFA, and I'm again not playing the female role, but I think if IFA can elect a woman this time, they're going to prove that they have moved on, that they are representing a very big part of their organisation, which are women, which haven't always been, they're not intentionally not being recognised, but they haven't been recognised and the work that they've put in. And I think if the farm women could see that they now have a very valued part in IFA, I think that would be progress. So I think that's where we might have been a little bit weak, by recognising women in the organisation, by not communicating. We can correct both of those, and I think if I was elected, I will correct both of them.
And Pat, what has IFA maybe not done well and not done right, and then what has it done?
I think we've lost the ability to listen, to really listen. And when you look at, some of our members have gone and formed and joined different organisations in the past, and we have to ask ourselves, and be humble enough to ask ourselves, why did that happen? How could we have prevented it? And more importantly, how can we get it right? At the minute, we're too divided. Too many different farm organisations out there. We're playing into the hands of the department who just want to divide us. I think my role as Deputy President would be to try and talk to each one of those and say, do you know what? United, we're a lot stronger. Divided, we fall. That's what I would do. That's what I would bring there.
We have to wrap it up, I'm afraid. We've come to the end of our live panel discussion here between the IFA Deputy Presidential candidates, Alice Doyle and Pat Murphy. We're going to head back out now to the ploughing site here in Ratheniska, but stay tuned because we will be back with Minister Pippa Hackett.